Am I responsible for my spouse's medical debt in Georgia? As a general rule, the answer is no. Let's get into it. In Georgia, Georgia is not a community property state, thank God. So you're not automatically liable for your spouse's debts, period. Now, where that can sneak up on you is if, there's some type of emergency situation and somebody hands you the right paperwork and you sign a personal guarantee for the treatment of medical services, that could make you liable. But just because you're married to somebody, that's not going to make you liable for their medical bills. If you sign a personal guarantee of payment for treatment, yes, that could make you potentially liable. So be careful what you sign, read it carefully. We talk to a lot of people who have medical debt. And I think one of the most tragic situations is when, a spouse passes away and leaves behind just this ginormous bill behind them. What can you do? And some of these debt collectors are not the most scrupulous people on planet Earth, and they will try to shame somebody into paying their spouse's medical debts, even though they are not legally required to do so. Now, if there's an estate involved and something needs to be probated, you would want to consult with a probate attorney over that as to whether or not there's assets that might need to be liquidated from the person who passed away to pay those medical bills. That's possible, but you don't have to liquidate your personal assets. Like the one that we see most common is people will dip into their 401k to take care of a deceased spouse's medical emergency. Don't do that. Your 401k is your retirement. There's tax penalties for doing that kind of thing if you do it early. Just don't touch your 401k. It's meant for your retirement. You don't have to. There's no legal requirement that you do so. So please don't. The other thing, in addition to the 401k, is sometimes people will go take out a second mortgage on their house. Again, don't do that. You don't have to. It's not necessary. It's your house. You got to have a house. And, I get it that it's tragic when people pass away, and sometimes people might not make the best decisions when they're going through horrendous grief. Delay before you make a huge decision like that. Let me change up the situation a little bit. What if that medical debt is yours? What if you did sign for it? What are our options? Well, if you qualify for a Chapter 7, medical debt is unsecured and it can be eliminated in a Chapter 13, and we can eliminate it in a Chapter 13 as well in many cases. So, it depends on the totality of your circumstances. Every case is different. That's why we need to meet with you and go through assets and income and things like that before you get, the straight final answer. But as a general rule, getting rid of medical debt is not that difficult. Now, if the medical debt is all in the name of one particular spouse, it is possible that only that one particular spouse might need to file. Now, this is tricky because, when you file, even though your spouse may not be required to file with you, their income does count on the median income test, and that can be a factor as to whether or not someone will qualify or not. A lot of people get really frustrated by that, but I just want to emphasize, if you are the spouse with a ton of medical bills, you can file without your other spouse having to file as well. One thing I will say is, honesty is a core value of my law firm. I want to shoot straight with you. I don't want you to have to file if you don't have to. A lot of times, if you're dealing with like one particular medical institution and the bill is just ridiculously sky high, I have seen a lot of clients who will speak directly with that institution, and they understand that if somebody has $1 million medical bill and they make $40,000 a year, they're never actually going to be able to pay it. And they do tend to work things out. I don't see as many cases where people have to file 100% because of medical bills like they used to. I don't know if the hospitals are working more closely with people. I do think it's a good idea to speak directly with the service provider Once it goes to a debt collector, then I don't recommend talking to them very much because they tend to be very manipulative and not the most honest people on planet Earth. So I would definitely not object to anybody talking directly with the provider to see if they can work something out so that they don't have to file. What really gets people the most in with medical situations, it's usually not the bills. It's usually the time away from work. And, sometimes people have to miss, it's not uncommon to see people go 6 months without working because of a medical condition. And that puts people behind on car payments and house payments and all those things we can catch up in chapter 13. So there is a way you can get back on your feet. We just need to investigate it to see if it's right for you. So yes, you can recover. There is a way out, and we're happy to sit down and talk with you and explore all of the options. So I would strongly encourage you to educate yourself on this topic. I've got a free book on my website, kellycanhelp.com. You can download that. Got a lot of videos on the topic. If you watch these and read the book, this is going to help you ask the right questions that are applicable to your situation. So I would encourage you to educate yourself on this topic. I've got a free book on my website, www.kellycanhelp.com. Download it, read it. I've got a lot of videos on my YouTube channel at Kelly Can Help. I've got a podcasting website as well, Kelly Bankruptcy. Take a look at this stuff, educate yourself so you will be able to ask the right questions that apply to your situation. And don't hesitate to give us a call. We understand, sometimes bad things happen to good people, but you need to move forward because it's not going to go away by itself. Thank you for tuning in.